Hi everyone. Welcome to another tutorial. My name is Jesse Pack, and this is with Art 363B Digital Illustration. Uh, Today we are going to be going over some Photoshop tools. We're going to be going over hue and saturation. Um, it, Feel free to download the files as usual on Canvas. And if this is for a different class and you're watching this, feel free to download the files wherever I mention. Otherwise, if this is far in the future and I post this on YouTube, the file should be on the description below. But go ahead and download the hue and saturation exercise here. And once you've downloaded it, feel free to open it up on Photoshop. And at any time, y'all, if you feel like this is moving too fast or you need a quick review, feel free to rewind or stop the video and practice a little bit more. So once you've opened it up in Photoshop, you should see something kind of like this. Um, Now, today we're going to go over the hue and saturation tools. And the point of the assignment is to just change the flower in the center over here. So before we do get started on the actual exercise, I kind of want to just go over what the hue and saturation tool actually does. So the hue and saturation tool can be accessed by image, adjustment, and then you're going to go to hue and saturation. Now, hue and saturation, and we're just going to play with this for now. If you would like to play with me and open up the tool itself, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, feel free to just watch the video and mess around with it after. Now, the hue and saturation tool allows you to do a couple things. The three main things it allows you to do is to change the color of whatever layer you're on or whatever selection you make. So for example, if I select this small area here, right, and I go to image, adjustment, hue and saturation, I can change that small area and that's it. Now, it also allows us to change the intensity of the color. So anywhere from a full grayscale to a very vibrant as the colors can be at the values that they're at. And I'm going to reset this back to 0. And then lastly, allows us to change our overall value of the layer. So how bright or how dark it is. Now, anytime you want to reset these like tones, you can go to 0. But if you choose to change it and you press OK, and then you go back to hue and saturation, so it's Control or Command U for shortcuts, this becomes the new default. So I would just be careful before you do confirm anything. Make sure that it's the colors that you want, because it can be a little trickier getting it back to the exact 100% way it was. You can get it pretty accurately since that's that's the only slider we use. But to get it like exact, it matters to you. You want to be very careful about that. Now, other things that I can do is it can also colorize your whole photo. What that means is if you press on colorize, it'll make everything just one color, and you can choose values, intensities, and different chroma, which is the colors for that layer. And it'll turn everything into a monochrome version of whatever color you choose, which can be very helpful for colorizing black and white photos if you wanted to have a little bit of a monotone. And another thing that it could also do as well is it also has presets in case there are any presets that you want to use. To be honest, I've never used these presets. I can see them being pretty helpful if you need these presets very quickly, but personally, I just don't need them. Lastly, the last thing I want to show you all here is you can also pinpoint certain colors that you want to change. Now, Photoshop utilizes these colors when they think about mixing digital paint. So if I want to go and only tackle, there's a lot of magentas in here. If I only want to tackle the magentas, which are like these parts here, I can select magentas and slide this, and you can see it changes just those parts. You can see these parts over here don't change as much because those are actually probably more in the red zone. Now, we're not going to confirm this yet, but I would recommend feel free to like just kind of mess around with it. I would just play around and kind of see what everything does. And once you're finished with everything, I would just press cancel and start over. So go ahead and take a moment to mess around with hue and saturation. I also recommend making selections and just playing around with that too, just to kind of see how that works. You can always change something to a red, then we can go to reds, and then we can change that, and you see it'll, well, I guess it only affects these parts because they were originally red. But mess around with these things over here. And once you're done messing around with it, go ahead and continue the video. Once you've completed messing around with it, here's what we're going to do. I want to only select the inside part of the flower. To do that, we're going to go to our magic wand tool and we're going to go to quick selection. Quick selection is a very useful tool. We can also use an object selection, but before I show y'all how to use an object selection, let's play around with the quick selection. The quick selection allows us to just paint in the parts that we want to select. So it makes it very easy for me to select what I want on here. I can also make my selection bigger using the left and right brackets. And it will allow me to get bigger selections. And I can also hold the Alt key, which you can see, and it's Alt Option for Macs. You can see it turns into a little minus button, which allows me to get rid of selections. What I would like y'all to do is I want y'all to go ahead and select this flower. And using this tool, get the best selection that you can. Don't worry if it's a little bit weird, okay? But something kind of sort of like this. You need to zoom in to kind of like clean up your selections, you can use so. And you're also more than welcome to utilize your lasso tools for these things. So if you feel like you can use your lasso, if you want to use your lasso tool to really, really, really clean up, you could do that too. Now that you have everything selected, and again, feel free to pause or slow down the video to work on the previous step. You're going to go back to Image, Adjustments, and Hue and Saturation. And you can change the color of the flower using the hue slider. Make sure to change it to anything except for like a pink. Even if it's something like this, just try to go a little bit more, just so it looks really, really different. And once you have that, you can go ahead and save that. So something kind of like this. Now, if you're still having trouble with the selection process, I do want to show you all the object selection tool. I do recommend to learn how to use the quick selection tool, especially if you are into photo editing or painting. Drawing maybe too, but drawing is going to be more line heavy, so maybe when you jump into values, that could be more useful. But the object selection tool is a newer tool, and it uses Photoshop's programming to try to separate and select the subject from its background. So it should look like a plus sign with like a square on the bottom right. And if I put my mouse over the flower, you can see it creates this pink line around it. And if I click, it'll make a selection that is basically the pink line. It'll do its best to like clean up. And you can see it's not like perfect. But you can also use this method. So actually use the quick selection tool to get rid of this, just to make it really nice. You can also use the magic wand tool for the green part, since it's all green. But once you have something that's kind of like this, again, you can also slide to choose a different color. So I'll go with like this like bluish tone. And then from there, you can go ahead and save this. So we can go to image, save as. Don't forget to put your name at the front. Always follow the same naming convention you did from the beginning. And then you're going to save a copy. And by saving a copy, it gives you these options here. And if you press save as first, you don't even have to add your name. You can just save it like this. But that basically concludes this exercise, y'all. If y'all have any questions or have any trouble doing this, feel free to reach out and we can set an appointment or go over it during break time. Or sorry, during lab times. Otherwise, like I hope this was helpful and I'll see you on the next video.